I'm speaking to David Malan. He's the cheesemaker at Kokerboom Kaas in Velddrif. A warm welcome to you, David.
Good day to you, Gerda. Good day to you, listeners. Nice cold, icy day here in Velddrif. And your side?
It's also cold on this side, but I think it's starting to warm up a little bit here.
That's good.
David, how did you start making cheese?
Well, it started by sitting on my front veranda here in Velddrif, overlooking the Berg River and looking at the farms across the river. And I said to my wife, there must be a stack of dairy herds here. So why don't we make our own cheese? I'm not getting much satisfaction from commercial cheese I'm buying. She said, well, that's good. I'll enroll you on a course. Let's do that. So she enrolled me on a course with Leon and Elaine van der Westhuizen from A Living Way. And I went off to Stellenbosch and did a 2-day course with them on how to make cheese. It was very informative, but that's not the best part about doing the course with Elaine and Leon. They give incredible support afterwards. So if you're going to make cheese and start making it out from scratch as a hobby, you need support. So you must choose the right teachers, and I think I chose the right two there. The second thing you need is a very good product, milk product. If you don't have good milk, you can't make good cheese. And we're very fortunate to have Helderwater and Langley-Flay Farms owned by the Kotze family near Hopefield, and I get my milk directly from their Golden Guernsey herd, and it's an incredible product. Then you have to look, if you want to do it more professionally, start selling your cheese, you need good vendors. Here I'm very lucky. I've got the Hopefield Market. I've got Moose Farm Store who distribute my product. So that is a superb advantage. Then, of course, if you are married or in a relationship, you must make sure your wife is very patient. Well, mine is. She's also a cheesemaker. She's learned to make cheese with me. So those are the 4 main ingredients you need to start making cheese.
You are well known for your artisanal cheese. What makes your cheese so unique?
Well, you just said the word, Gerda, artisanal cheese. Artisanal cheese is cheese that's made in small batches and small quantities. And unlike commercial cheese, we are at liberty to make small batches, many different cheeses, and we can experiment and vary. So the outcome is not always consistent, but it's always very, very tasty. And that's essentially what artisanal cheese is about.
Tell me more about that. What are the different artisanal cheeses that you make?
When you say artisan cheese, any cheese you can make can be a cheddar or a Gouda. If it's made in a small batch, it's called artisan cheese. You are the artisan, as opposed to commercial cheese. The main difference is that we don't have to put preservatives and stabilizers into our products to give it the shelf life required by commercial outlets. So the artisan cheese has to be looked after. It's more delicate. We can get in far more flavor than commercial cheeses, I think. That's my opinion anyway.
It's said that artisanal cheese and those cheeses are very expensive, but it takes a lot of time to make them. Am I right?
Quite correct. I'm often asked at the market, why is your cheese so expensive? And my response is, hey, do you enjoy biltong? Oh, yes, we like biltong. I said, well, what do you pay for your biltong? Get a blank expression. Normally it's 200-300 rand a kilo. But if you buy prepackaged biltong snapsticks or something, you can pay up to 1,200 rand a kilo for a little packet of snapsticks. So that takes about 24 hours to 48 hours to manufacture. My cheese takes me a day to make a cheese, but then 2 to 3, sometimes 6 months to mature. And those cheeses have to be looked after every day, turned in their boxes, wiped down with brine, and really nursed. So that's why the cheese is a little bit more expensive than commercial cheeses, but not always. Our white mold cheeses are very comparable to the prices of the commercial cheeses on the shelf. So some cheeses are expensive and some cheeses aren't, but it's all relative. But the flavor and the end product is of great value, and that's what you're looking for.
David, what does a day look like when you make cheese?
Oh gosh, first thing I have to go and fetch my milk, which is kindly delivered to town here by the farm. And I start at about 5 o'clock washing down the pasteurizers, making sure that they're sanitized, cleaning down all surfaces. And then we put the milk into the pasteurizer, bring it up to a working temperature, and we start making cheese. And the way we do it is we start ripening the milk by adding a culture into it, which prepares for the renneting stage. We rennet the cheese, and let it stand and thickens into a blancmange-type custard. We cut the curd, let the whey go out, stir it until the whey is removed to the degree you want it, and then we take it out and we press it. It normally presses overnight, turns several times, And the next day we start again with new milk and maturing the cheese we made the day before. That's a typical day for us.
What is the worth of using salt in your cheeses?
The simple truth is that cheese without salt has no flavor. And we're very fortunate once again here in Veldrip, we've got Khoisan salt, which is a perfectly natural sea salt harvested from the subterranean sea. And we use that in our cheese. It also contains beta-carotene from the brine shrimp shells, which turns our cheeses a lovely yellow color. But you have to have salt in cheese, otherwise it's very, very bland.
How would you encourage young cheesemakers to enter this hobby, this profession?
Young people should try it because there's always a mystery around where cheese comes from. And very few people understand the value of cheese, the work that goes into it, and just how fascinating it can be to take a raw product like milk and turn it into something absolutely delicious and edible. And of course, there are very few artist cheesemakers in South Africa. And any young person who wants to start out in a good career, making cheese as a hobby is a great start. And you need people like Leon and Elaine for the best season, and they're off to a cracking start in the cheese business.
David, where can you be contacted for further information?
You can visit us during lockdown, provided we observe the protocols. I can entertain 3 people at a time. To find out more about us, just go on to www.Kokerboom.com. And before you ask where the Kokerboom name comes from, there's a 100-year-old tree in our front garden. It's been really a pleasure chatting with you, and I hope we've been able to encourage more cheesemakers out there or potential cheesemakers to go and get milk and start converting.